Y'all ready for this?
Indie Soul Rhythms is your home for global independent soul and R&B, featuring exclusive artist interviews, curated playlists, and deep connections from London to LA. Subscribe and join the rhythm.
All I can say is gee whiz.
Hey, this is Bashiyra, and there's only one choice, and that's Indie Soul Rhythms with Moochie Alfonso.
Hey everybody, tonight on Indie Soul Rhythms, I'm joined by one of the UK's fiercest female voices, Bashiyra. She's a multi-award-winning powerhouse whose sound blends soul, R&B, jazz, and more. From sharing the stage with legends to topping the charts, UK soul charts, her journey is nothing short of iconic. We'll be talking about her new music, global recognition, her latest sensual single, I Can't Sleep. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Bashiyra, welcome to Indie Soul Rhythms.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate that. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I hope you are well as well.
I'm very well. I'm very good, yeah.
Been called everything from soulful, mesmerizing, to lioness-like. How would you describe your sound in 3 words?
Oh, great question. I think I'd describe it definitely eclectic. I would say diverse, and I definitely use soulful as well. Yes.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. I mean, having listened to I Can't Sleep, yeah, it's nothing short of soulful. Soulful.
Thank you.
Yeah. But you're not just a singer, you're also a movement. When did you first realize that your artistry could become something much bigger than just music?
I think through travel and just communication with people in the industry, most definitely through, audience interaction, I began to see that there was a diversity within my brand, not just as a singer, but as a songwriter. I'm also a vocal coach. I do acting, and I design as well. So I design clothing. So I think from early on, I recognized the different sort of tentacles, if you'd like, to my brand and what I could achieve. Of course, there's always then that measure of the sort of the public, reciprocation in terms of whether they like it, do they kind of vibe with it? And there was, loads of ticks all around with all the different sort of areas that I've just outlined. So then I began to realize, okay, there's a way that I can actually connect all of these dots. And get them to kind of underpin who I am as an artist, what I do. An example of that would be when I'm doing live stage performances, very often I'm wearing my own clothing that I've designed. I'm also a brand ambassador for an amazing jewelry brand. So I'm often wearing the pieces, that I'm a brand ambassador for. But I love anything to do with fashion. I love artistry in terms of its boundlessness. I love when I'm able to express myself as a whole, whether it's in colors or textures or fabrics or, stage lighting, for example. Musicians are positioned on stage, what I'm wearing, what they're wearing, and then obviously getting the audience participation as well, whether it's a live show or online. But that engagement is equally and critically important as well. So I think recognizing that it was a brand as a whole in terms of all the different facets was the feedback that I got from people, the love and the adulation and the respect that I garnered, then I was able to understand, okay, this is actually working, and to allow it to continue to flourish for me as an artist and within my artistry as a whole.
That's amazing. Yeah, you've just talked about fashion, design. Do you design for both men and women, or is it?
Yeah, I design for both men and women. I've also designed for children as well. I've been stopped on many occasions and people have asked me, oh, wow, what are you wearing? And I'm like, I'm wearing me.
Oh, wow.
My
And
label.
where can people buy, your designs?
Yes, so I've actually got a label. The label's actually called House of Basketball Designs.
Right.
it was something that I was pushing really quite a lot pre-pandemic. And then after the pandemic happened, I then kind of concentrated more on kind of coaching voices. When the live scene opened back up again, I started to refocus my energies on my music and performance as a whole internationally. So it really depends on what I'm doing in terms of maybe like assignments, or if I've been commissioned to do something, how I kind of interweave all the different facets of what I actually do. So it's exciting because no one day is the same, no 1 week is the same, and most definitely not 1 month is the same. So it's very diverse, it's enriching. There's a lot of internal conversating and external by way of self-reflection for me as an artist, and then looking at that engagement with my public and people that are in my team supporting me, and just helping me to hone everything and to get it all out there in the way that really stipulates and kind of shows people who I am as an artist in terms of the brand Bashiyra.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about your music. You've got a new single out, I Can't Sleep, which I mentioned in the intro.
Yes.
I've listened to it, and from the get-go, I kind of just fell in love with it. It's sensual, smooth, and emotionally rich.
Thank
What
you.
inspired that story behind this single?
I think it was definitely about the interplay of a woman's response to her partner, her man,
Hmm.
and it's about the engagement of intimacy, and really understanding what intimacy is about. It's the ability to be completely vulnerable, to not have any barriers up, to not feel that you need to be shy or inhibited in terms of self-expression. So I wanted to really convey the sensualness, as you've now outlined. I'm glad that you've received that as a listener. And it was about sharing the joy, the pleasure, and the advancement of a person's body and how it yields to another person's body in terms of self-expression and love.
It does come across in the song. It's really good. So how intentional are you when you blending genres, and how does your creative process begin?
I think that's a great question. I think if I answer the second one first, I think in terms of processes, it really depends, as I was saying earlier, in terms of what the remit is. So I have to establish what is it I'm trying to achieve here. I look at themes, for example. Is it about love? Is it about friendship? Is it about what's going on in the world? Is it about nature in terms of the songwriting capacity and what I'm going to deliver on? And then in terms of actually putting it together, it can happen one or two ways. So I can come up with a melody, or I can come up with the lyrics. Sometimes by coming up with the melody, the lyrics just flow. And also it's happened in the reverse where I'll come up with the lyrics and then the melody starts to flow. Now, when it happens where the lyrics come first and then the melody starts to flow, I'm very hands-on in the studio where I will work with my engineer and I will literally sing every part. Sometimes I'll actually go onto the keyboards or the piano and kind of give a rough outline of what it is I'm after. But I love to work with musicians. And I work with one of the best engineers in the business, I feel. And he's also an amazing and accomplished bass player and guitarist. So I will literally sing the parts for him. And we've worked together now for many, many years. So he really understands my signature and core, I guess, expression of music.
Hmm.
And we hadn't worked together for a few years just because of what was going on with the acting. And when we got together recently, obviously to put together I Can't Sleep, he sat in the studio and he was just like, Bashiyra, I've missed you so much. I've missed that interplay of how we work together creatively. And he like I said, he's an amazing and accomplished engineer in his own right, and a musician. So in terms of putting together the processes, it really depends on how the song has come to me. Like how have I received it? Am I receiving the lyrics first, or am I receiving the melody and the music? Ultimately the two marry up, so it's about bringing them ultimately together, but it's about respecting each process as it comes and really kind of, I guess, becoming really vulnerable with it, and syncing with it so that I can bring the best of what it is I would like to deliver by way of the vocals, the songwriting, and ultimately the production. I feel really blessed that I can wear all of these hats creatively that really sit alongside each other and are really congruent in me establishing the sound, and being able to deliver that as a final product that people are enjoying. So yeah, that's an amazing win-win for me, most definitely.
That's really amazing because I think you're probably the first artist that I've interviewed who's actually given me an in-depth description of their creative process. That's
Okay.
really amazing. And you've been compared to Tina Marie, and I think some have compared you to a canary, a lioness. How do you feel about these being placed in that lineage of vocal greatness?
Well, I think you hit the word right there, DJ Moochie, in terms of lineage. It's an amazing compliment to receive. Um, I think ultimately I receive that with love and grace because it's a kind of like an earmark or a guiding kind of light that shows that what I'm doing is being received in a good way, in a receptive way, that people are honoring me alongside other iconic voices. And I think equally alongside that is, the importance of also outlining my own artistry. So creating, something that ultimately showcases who I am as a vocalist in terms of originality and uniqueness, and being able to have a signature. I remember and still do listen to voices, unknown in terms of maybe not, widely known by the majority public, as well as voices that are very well known. And the one thing that always grabs me is, oh, I know who that is. I know that's Aretha, because her tone she's got such a signature voice. I know that's Whitney. She's got such an iconic voice. Fantasia, same thing, iconic voice. Maxwell, same thing. You can hear, as soon as you hear rather their voices, oh, that's Maxwell, that's Luther, that's Music Soul Child, and so for me, the mention of such amazing vocalists alongside myself is obviously most definitely a compliment, and equally I really drive home the importance for me as an artist to be able to also showcase who I am in terms of my uniqueness, and my hope is that the listener receives that. So yeah, it's overall a great compliment.
I totally agree.
Thank you.
Um, so in terms of your milestones and magic moments, you
Mm.
performed at the 2012 Paralympics. And as a result of that, you received a thank you letter from the then Prime Minister, David Cameron. How
Yeah.
did it feel being recognized at that level for your music and
Oh,
presence?
amazing.
Mm.
Absolutely amazing. Imagine receiving a letter through the door,
Yeah.
and it's signed from the Prime Minister at 10 Downing Street, for the country that you live in. It's a momentous feeling, of achievement and accomplishment and recognition. And I think I just sat for a while thinking, oh my gosh, it really was a great moment to be recognized at, basically the highest level in terms of, the sector that we're in terms of like the world, for my own country, the UK. So it was an amazing feeling. And yeah, I hold that dear to my heart. All of my achievements, I do actually, all the awards that I've won, and, being able to be at amazing events with, gorgeous people in their energy, and to have them receive me with the same level of love and respect. It's always a good feeling. And I feel very, very blessed and very blissed, I like to say. The energy of it all, most definitely.
Oh, well, I think you deserve it.
Thank you.
So what would you say has been your proudest moment as an artist so far? And what's the one thing you still dream of achieving?
Oh, what a big question. I think there's been many moments, if I'm going to be completely, specific, and I want to be authentic in the share because that's who I am as a person and as an artist. I think there are many, many parts of the jigsaw puzzle, because it can run from the creative process down to the finished product, down to getting out there on stage and performing it live, and engaging with an audience. But I think it's moments like this where I'm talking with yourself and you say, that track you've just released, the new music you've got out, I love it. I love how you sound. I love, the subject matter. So it's, for me, it's the audience receptivity and reaction and interaction that I get a lot of joy out of that, because it means that I'm able to really provide value. And that's really important to me as a person and as an artist, that I get to, deliver on value. And then I think, in terms of what I would still like to do, wow, again, another big question. Um, I think there's always going to be goals. I think if you don't have goals, you're not growing, you're not expanding. And for me, expansion is really important. I think it's most definitely to keep heightening what I do as an artist, keep finding new ways of how I can deliver what it is I do and how it is I do it. Technology is great in its advancement, but I'm also very old school in, I want to hold a pen in my hand. I want a piece of paper where I can scribe, and write out my lyrics. I want to sit out in nature and really get the essence of energy that's prevalent in the atmosphere, to be able to really align and sync with what's important to me as an artist and what I believe is important to the public who are going to be receiving my music. So I think I want to always be in a place of feeling happy and healthy. I think that's really important, because from that core place of feeling happy and healthy, then I'm able to produce, the best work possible. But also, what I'll add as a caveat is that even in the times when things may not be as great, maybe we're going through something, or I'm going through something as an artist or as a person, being able to lend my emotional body to that without restriction, and to write from that place of pain, to be able to bring that to fruition, so that, I can use my music as an opportunity to not just teach and enlighten people, but also to teach and enlighten me. Sometimes I sit back and I listen to songs that I've written maybe 10 years ago, and I'm like, wow, how prolific is that? It really aligns to where I'm at right now, or people that I love dearly in my life, where they're at, and how they can use that as a tool for guidance. So I think it's to continue to authentically be myself as an artist, to deliver music that really is representative of me as an artist and my artistry, to stay open-minded as well. I believe it's important that the growth and the expansion of my artistry is not kind of restricted or boxed in, but that I have the opportunity to work with amazing individuals that can bring out even more from me in terms of my artistry, as well as me being able, to work individually and to also enhance that. And I know sometimes when a question like that is asked, people automatically think of maybe things like, oh, I want to travel somewhere, or I want to work with this individual. But I think for me to consistently be my authentic self as a creative would be the biggest dream that I want to continue to achieve and accomplish, so that when I lay my head on my pillow of a night, I feel edified, I feel grateful, I feel really in tune with who I am as a person and as an artist. And I think that there can be no greater gift of desire or alignment in terms of achieving than that. Yeah.
Wow. That was an amazing answer. And,
So,
and your authenticity truly comes through as well.
thank you.
One of the things that really spoke to me when I was reading your bio was your commitment to creative education, how you use your music to boost literacy and numeracy. Where
Yes.
did that passion come from, and what impact have you seen?
Yeah. So I've seen massive impact. I've seen the confidence levels of both adults and children just go through the roof when they understand, the importance of how music can be used as a vehicle to impact positively their numeracy and literacy levels.
Mm.
Self-expression at the end of the day, and it's a safe space that allows them through music to be able to really get into who they are as a person, and to not feel that they can't share and be self-expressed, and to feel supported alongside that. And I think what got me into it was recognizing for myself how important music has been in my life, and how it's helped me to be the person that I am today, shaping things like my understanding. And, I like to say the word overstanding, because I really believe that there are tiers or levels to how we actually learn. and how we're able to then send that back into the world as a message. You know, we're all beacons of light if we allow ourselves to truly be ourselves in whatever it is we do. It doesn't have to be music, it could be medicine, it could be law, you know, it could be anything in terms of whatever one chooses as their chosen career path. But the importance of what you choose should allow you to truly be who you are as a person, and to feel, you know, enriched in what it is you're doing, because that is your, like, your footprint, you know, that you leave behind, you know, on this earthly plane. And I think, you know, we only have one life, right? So let's use that to the best of our advantages, you know, and make a difference in our own lives as well as the lives of other people. And so to be able to use music as a forum to impact specifically, say, literacy or numeracy is amazing, because it gets people to speak clearly. It gets people to understand, which I think is so important. Oftentimes comprehension is really overlooked. So to be able to understand what somebody's saying, to be in tune that somebody may not be feeling the greatest right now, and how you can use words and your energy as a whole to just receive them and to hold space for them and to allow them to know that they're safe. And whatever they're going through, it's momentarily. You know, emotions come and emotions go. It's like time. Time is here and then it goes, you know, but being able to use that as a harness to better oneself, specifically, as you've asked, in terms of literacy and numeracy for adults that may be struggling or children that may be struggling. It's an amazing feeling seeing someone, you know, transition from being shy or feeling awkward or, you know, quite downcast in how they present themselves to, you know, sitting and standing very erect and being able to speak very direct and to show that they do understand what it is that they've learned. And then they can take that and be able to cascade it down to how they're living their normal day-to-day life, and hopefully pass that on to other people that they interact with as well. I think it's an amazing gift to be able to share. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Building on that, what advice would you give to young people struggling to find confidence in their voice, musically or personally?
Yeah, I think personally is to be able to do something that I consider really important, which is to check in with yourself. Like, you know, the same way that you might ask a friend, how are you? Don't be frightened to kind of hold yourself and say, how am I? You know, how am I feeling? And to be honest with whatever comes up. And then to look at, you know, how you can support yourself through that. Is it something that you need to speak with, like a member of your family to, or a friend, or another trusted individual, like, say, maybe a teacher, or another type of professional? And I think the importance of resting, and I can't overemphasize this, to be able to sleep. I think we live in an environment right now globally where everyone's on their devices 24/7. People are not sleeping and they're not resting. So their mind is really agitated and they don't get a chance to just rest, let go, switch off, and to know that, you know what, it's okay. When you get up tomorrow, the device will be there. But where you might spend like 2 hours in bed going through stuff on your phone or your iPad or, you know, your laptop, switch it off and take some time out for yourself and really get into your own energy and ask yourself, am I all right? How was my day? How could I have made my day better? If it wasn't as great as I would have liked it to have been, how can I improve? You know, and what did I learn from myself today and from other people that I can now take as a tool to advance my life going forward? That's on just a general level. And then I think if it's an individual that specifically wants to do music and singing, for example, I can't overemphasize the importance of a good vocal coach. Yeah, somebody who can teach you how to use your voice so that your voice is an asset that it becomes a friend to you in terms of how you're able to use that to navigate through the industry. Because let's not what's the right word? Let's not pretend that the business is not just that. It's a business. And I can't overemphasize how important it is that individuals that want to get into the music industry, want to get into music as a whole, really have an understanding of the business. Like, you're going to have to understand that when someone puts a contract in front of you, you don't have to feel rushed to sign that. Get some legal advice, you know, understand the terms and conditions that are being submitted to you so that to your best advantage, you know, you're signing an agreement that's, you know, going to really help you to flourish as an artist. You know, like I said before, get a good vocal coach, learn how to use your voice properly. Be true about what music really resonates with you. You know, what do you want to sing in terms of a genre? You might want to sing pop. Maybe people are telling you to sing something else. But if that's what you want to do as an artist, then do that. Be true to yourself and stay consistent, stay rehearsed, you know, be aware of what's going on, you know, around you in terms of like, you know, the dynamics of how things can change musically, have an awareness of that marketplace. I mean, you're putting it all together. It's a bit like cooking a cake. You know, you have the eggs and you have the flour and then you have the sugar and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you've got to have an understanding of what it is you need as that artist, as that vocalist, to be able to go out there and create your sound, you know, create what you hope people will enjoy and love and be able to build forward from there. But I think first and foremost, get a good vocal coach, understand your voice, get some, you know, proper vocal lessons, and then start understanding the business of music, because believe me, it is a business and it's very important to know what the business is so that you look after yourself, basically. Yeah. And you stay happy with what you're delivering as an artist, as a musician.
I'm so glad that you pointed out that it's a business, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people go into this and they're blindsided, and uh, it doesn't matter how talented they are, but they end up signing contracts that that don't look after them.
Yes.
And and this is one of the reasons why I enjoy doing these interviews, because I think we pick nuggets that I hope people that are looking to get into the music industry can learn from and avoid some pitfalls,
Yes.
you um, that they should avoid, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's enough information out there that individuals can do their due diligence,
Yeah.
you know, do their research and ask questions. You know, I'm a firm believer in that. When you're engaging with whoever, if you can't ask questions, that's a red flag already, because it's like, well, why can't I ask you a question? I need to have an understanding of what it is you want me to be involved in. So in order for me to garner that and have a clear, I don't know, perspective of what it is you're asking of me, I need to ask questions, because from that I can establish whether it's something for me or not, and then I can make, you know, a clear decision based on what's being exchanged in terms of the information. So yeah, I think, you know, understanding the music business is critically important for any up and coming vocalist or artist. And I would also say, not even just for vocalists, if you're a producer, if you're an arranger, you know, if you're a musician, you know, anybody within the business needs to understand what the business is. And I guess that kind of, you know, if you were studying to be a doctor, you'd be doing X amount of years in your study process to be able to, you know, be a qualified doctor. It's the same thing with music, you know. And I think what I'd also like to outline as well is that, you know, music is a profession. And when you're out there performing, when you're out there, you know, gigging, and you're out there delivering what you do in terms of your brand, you know, just like the plumber that turns up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to fit your washing machine, he's not coming to do that for free. So why are you expecting that you should turn up at a show or a gig and not be compensated, you know, accordingly for your delivery of your talent? So it's keeping things in perspective and trying to lessen as much as possible negative experiences, because unfortunately there are people in the music business who will look at talent, look at the raw innocence of that, and unfortunately try to dilute it by taking advantage of us, you know, in terms of our creativity. And it's about recognizing the signs of what that looks like, and never ever go against your gut feeling. If something is not sitting right, then it probably isn't right for you. Ask the right questions, you know, sit down and reflect on the answers given to you, and then make, you know, a more informed decision about whether or not you actually want to lend your time, energy, and your talent to what, you know, those individuals or persons are asking of you. But yeah, ask your questions, ask, and ask again, and be clear about what it is you're getting into, so that you can, as an artist, have the best possible experience that you deserve, because your talent is just that. It's your talent.
Yeah, that's really, really amazing. And I appreciate you sharing all that, all the insights. And for yourself, as someone who's constantly evolving, what inspires you to keep pushing creative boundaries?
I think two things. I think the first thing is the honor of being able to utilize the energy of music. It's one of the most powerful forces out there in the universe. And I feel very honored that I've been, blessed with the gift of music to be able to go out there and deliver through my music, through my voice, through my production, and through the delivery of vocal coaching and voice coaching, which are two different things, by the way. But yeah, being able to deliver on that, I think, is really important. And I think also staying authentically true. We come into contact with individuals all the time. It can change our perception, change our feelings, change our outlook. Things can shift. And sometimes that's a good thing, right? But sometimes it's not. So where it's a good thing, embrace it, move with it, align with it, grow with it, and go out there and do your very best. But where it's not really in tune with you, being able to say, no, that's not for me, and to let it go with grace, and to trust that what is yours is yours. I truly believe that, God gives us that which is authentically for us if we allow ourselves to consistently stay open and true, and to keep checking in with ourselves. Like I mentioned previously, that internal dialogue with yourself is so important, because then you know who you are. And I'm a big advocate in really, I guess, illustrating and bringing to the forefront that the most important relationship you have is the one that you have with yourself. And for me, the relationship you have with yourself, is ultimately linked to the relationship you have with the Most High, the Creator, God, and being able to be a true example of God's vision for you on this earthly plane, most definitely.
I'm definitely taking notes. This is very insightful. It's not just for musicians, and I think even for radio personalities like us, and I mean, I wear many hats. I'm on radio. I also work in the corporate world. But what you're sharing here, this is valuable information that some people are, charging to give people. So I really appreciate that you're sharing all this with us.
Absolutely.
You received numerous global nominations, including Outstanding Musician and Educator at the Caribbean Global Awards. How do you stay grounded amidst such recognition?
Um, I think prayer, good people, self-evaluation, self-reflection. Rest is really important as well. Sometimes you can really overdo things, to the next goal, to the next whatever. So you're not resting, and then you're not eating properly, and then you become unwell. And if you're unwell, then you can't do the very thing that you actually want to do. So I think, personal time with myself, for myself, is really important. Looking after my well-being, looking after my health, and being around people who also help me to add value to that practice. And remembering that life is a journey, being deeply appreciative and grateful for everything thus far, and super excited about what's next in terms of, like, what becomes apparent, over the next day or weeks and months and years in terms of my artistry. But just a deep appreciation and gratitude, I think, is fundamental and core for me. Yeah.
Absolutely true. So looking ahead, you've got new music, global tours, collaborations on the way. What can you tease us about the next phase of your musical journey?
Great question. I think I can tease you by saying that the platform has been set for greatness, and that it's about continued self-mastery of that greatness and delivering on that greatness, and working with amazing individuals that allow that to continually come to fruition. So I would say, stay tuned, and I will definitely stay in touch with you, DJ Moochie, and keep you updated as to what's happening. But yeah, I'm very much enjoying. I say full joying. I'm full joying the entire process of what's happening for me creatively. And I'm just gonna keep continuing with the flow of love. The essence is love, and the delivery is love. Even when we're talking about things that don't feel that great, it's about getting back to that good feeling of love. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. I've got a couple of fun questions for you before we let you. So when you're not on stage or in the studio, what is your happy place?
The kitchen.
Wow. What do
Some
you make?
Yeah, cook some good food. Just relaxing, spending time where I can just, yeah, kind of do nothing and just eat well, and rest. Be out in nature, be on a beach somewhere, with a mocktail or a cocktail and just be completely chilled and relaxed and not have to set an alarm. I guess that's the biggest thing, not having to set an alarm to be somewhere or diary something, where I have to attend X, Y, and Z, but that complete just letting go and relaxing.
Totally agree. I was in the Bahamas for a week last month and did exactly that. And now I feel like I need to go back.
Yeah,
In,
I get it.
if your life had a soundtrack right now, what three songs would be on it?
Ooh, wow. Okay. Golden by Jill Scott, Living My Life Like It's Golden. Jennifer Holiday's I Am Changing. Yeah. And as a third song. Wow. Oh gosh. I'd have to say I Can't Sleep, my own song.
Wow, yeah. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And I can't sleep because there's so much great things going on,
This
So I
soundtrack, yeah.
align it to that.
And what one thing about you, people might be surprised to learn.
Oh, right. Okay. I love reading books, proper books, not the Kindle, but an actual hard copy or hardback book. Yeah, I love reading. I love reading. So when I'm not songwriting, I'll have a book in my hand. In fact, I always have a book or two with me in my bag when I'm traveling, wherever. I may not get to read it, but it's always there with me. So that the off chance where I do get, the odd half hour where I can just plug in, I'll pick out the book and I will just be, yeah, in that space. So I think people might find that surprising because we live in an age of technology. So people are on their phones or their Kindle, but I'm like, no, let me have a real book. I want to turn the pages. Yeah, tactile like that.
Somebody said to me, a book, kids today, when they see a book, they think it's a broken iPad because they actually have to physically turn the pages. So yeah,
And that says a lot, doesn't it?
yeah.
That's a lot.
And I'm just being corrected. I think I said I was in the Bahamas. No, I was in Barbados.
Hey, nice. Amazing.
I've just got some more fun questions, but these ones just give us a one-word answer. Just say the first thing that comes to mind. Describe your voice in 3 words.
Unique, soulful, unforgettable.
Tea or coffee?
Definitely herbal tea.
A dream duet partner, living or not?
Ooh. Can I have two? Can I have living and not no longer here?
Yeah.
So no longer here, most definitely Miss Ella Fitzgerald and living Maxwell.
Wow. Yeah. And one word to describe your new album.
Memorable. Yeah. Evocatively memorable. Yeah.
What makes you feel unstoppable?
Ooh, staying true to myself. Yeah. Yeah, really listening to my own internal guidance, my own internal GPS and staying true to myself. And I think when you do that, the resources, the people, the clarity of the vision, it comes. Yeah. So yeah, staying true to me.
Amazing. When I said I'm taking notes, I'm not lying. I'm going to put some of these things to practice. Some of
Good.
them I've been doing already, and sometimes I'm lazy, but it was kind of a reminder to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
take care of myself.
Yeah. And it's a reminder also, even to me, because even though it's coming through me and from me, it's also about how can I increase on what I'm doing, and how can I rest more, and how can I, it's always a message also for myself as well about development, because I'm really open and receptive to the reality that I also teach myself, as well as me being in, a really honorable position to teach others. So yeah, I received that with a lot of appreciation, DJ Moochie. That's a really nice thing for you to say. So thank you. Yeah.
No, thank you for taking time to share your journey with us.
Thank you.
Soul Rhythms salutes you.
Thank you.
Before we let you go, please do us the honor of introducing your new single, I Can't Sleep.
Okay, so you are listening to DJ Moochie and I am Bashiyra, and this is my new track, I Can't Sleep. Enjoy.